Hi, my name is Gerard Otto, and welcome to another episode of Is That a Credible Claim? How do we show it, and how do we prove it? Today's claim is that rents for everyone have stabilised, and that unlike under Labour, there's no great increase of $180 a week in rents. Consider the following footage from Parliament in the last week.
Because what I'm proud about is actually rents under this government are stable, not up $180 per week.
On the 22nd of January, Stats New Zealand released the latest CPI inflation figures, and that showed that rents had actually increased over the year by 4.2%. That wasn't stable, that was a steady increase.
Actually, rents under this government are stable.
This misleading behaviour from the Prime Minister Christopher Luxon was noticed, and Chloe Swarbrick had the following to say in Parliament.
There has been much discussion in this House about truth, and we are not allowed to say the word that denotes the opposite of that, but I am requesting your guidance when the Prime Minister is stating things on the record such as rents have been stable, when the facts demonstrate the clear opposite of that, what we are to do.
It turns out this is an old claim where National have been using the figure of $180 per week increase in rents under Labour for the whole 6 years for quite some time. Have a look at this material of theirs before the election. Back on the 11th of September 2023, National said Labour's cost of living crisis is going from bad to worse, with new figures out today showing rents have increased by $180 per week since Labour became government, National's housing spokesperson Chris Bishop says. According to MBIE's rental bond database, nationwide median rents have now increased from $400 per week to $580 per week since Labour took office and are now at a record high. Note that this is data from MBIE's rental bond database, and note that this is nation median rents, not the lower or the higher levels of rent. The key point to note about National's data is that it's using what is called flow data, or the rental data that you can get from bonds that are lodged with the Tenancy Tribunal. This only shows a small segment of all of the renters. It shows people who are moving from one place to another to a new tenancy. And that data is known to be much more volatile than the data which is called stock data. Stock data represents the entire rental market. People that are living in a rental who have a rent increase and don't move would not be included in National's figures. If you look at the trends over time, you'll find that the stock figures are a lot more stable and even year after year after year than the flow figures. Flow figures are influenced by a number of factors like how many people are leaving the country, how many people are entering the country, as well as the available supply of rentals. A study in 2023 into the main drivers behind the increase in rents showed that there were two main factors. One was that rent increases were very closely related to wage increases, and if you look at this graph here, you can see over a period of time that rent increases track with wage increases very closely. The second factor was supply, and supply can be influenced by the number of people leaving New Zealand, which can have the effect of bringing prices down. It's got nothing much to do with anything positive that the government has done. So in conclusion, have rental prices stabilised because flow data, which is volatile anyway, suggests that it might have toned down for a month or two? Well, clearly, if you look at the long-term trends of flow data versus stock data, that is not the case. And therefore, it's mostly a misleading thing for Christopher Luxon to be saying.
Because what I'm proud about is actually rents under this government are stable, not up $180 per week.
When it comes to the increase of $180 per week over 6 years, A similar large amount could actually be created by looking at a 9-year period when the National Party were in power. But the key point here is that a big number has been created in the mind of the public by cumulatively adding up rental increases that are quite small and on average at the same rate under any government over a 6-year period, just to make that look like a big, terrible thing. This is misleading.
There has been much discussion in this House about truth, and we are not allowed to say the word that denotes the opposite.
I think it's pretty clear that what we're seeing here is a little bit of sophistry from the National Party using data that's to do with flow. And even now, the most recent information about flow is missing at the Department of Statistics because MB's record of bonds being lodged at the Tenancy Tribunal doesn't actually yet integrate with the Department of Statistics data. Having said that, I think we can safely conclude that rents are increasing, and they're increasing at quite a rate that's attached to the factors that we described: wage increases and the amount of supply. There's also a huge amount of variability, as you know, from region to region across New Zealand, and most of the figures that had been quoted to you are all medians or averages, so they don't show the variability. That's all for this episode of Is That an Incredible Claim? But there will be plenty more to come.